Well, many parents are not aware that while well-intentioned, Pink Shirt Day is being used by activists to politicise gender theory and sexual identity of school children under the guise of anti-bullying programs, rather than deal appropriately with the issue of school bullying, which we're all concerned about. Pink Shirt Days are predominantly, and have always been about, promoting an LGBT narrative. So Pink Shirt Day is coming up at the end of next week. Now, I never realised this, but Pink Shirt Day is an annual event against bullying, but it's held in only 2 countries in the world. Canada, where it started, and New Zealand. You sort of get the impression that it's all over the world, but no, just us and Canada. And if you read the blurb on Pink Shirt Day, it's about creating a community where all people feel safe, valued and respected, regardless of gender identity, sexual orientation, age, ability, religion or cultural background. Well, valued and respected if you agree with the organisers. Parents and school leaders need to understand Pink Shirt Day for what it is. It's predominantly about promoting an LGBT narrative. It's kind of fairly clear, well, blatantly obvious, when you look at the main logo. Yep. And here's the booklet for schools. Now, on the page talking about types of bullying, there's primarily one focus. Homophobic, biphobic and or transphobic bullying all refer to bullying based on a person's sexual orientation or gender identity, and Aotearoa rangatahi who identify as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, asexual, takapui, or other sexuality and gender diverse communities, also referred to as the rainbow community, experience higher rates of bullying. And then further down, you'll see Tauira, who identify as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, asexual, or other sexuality and gender diverse communities, experience higher rates of bullying, which I think they'd already said earlier on. And then further down, you'll notice that a group of students, including a non-binary student, had successfully campaigned their school's leadership team to introduce gender-neutral bathrooms. Common theme. And you can see it's not all bullying. They pretend it is, but it's not really. And the appendix at the back ironically quotes in large bold writing 2 studies, which are from 2008 and 2009. And then the rest are from the Counting Ourselves survey, which we've already highlighted as being advocacy research by a pro-trans unit and deeply flawed. In fact, on the resource, I did a check for the words race, ethnicity, religion, Christian, Muslim, disabilities, weight, and reference to appearance. None. Nope. Bullying of these groups is irrelevant. There's token gestures to these groups by talking about bullying in general throughout the advertising, but no specifics. However, on the other hand, the words gender appears 23 times. Sexuality or sexualities 7 times, some form of trans 9 times, some form of phobic 8 times. And as the teacher resource says, Pink Shirt Day is focused on rangatahi young people who identify as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, asexual or other sexuality and gender diverse communities, LGBTQIA+. Yeah. Unfortunately, overweight students, religious kids, students with acne or a speech impediment or a physical disability, or who are struggling academically, or students from a different culture, they don't have a lobby group or a cross-party parliamentary network. And yet we know that depression and suicide are also associated with these types of bullying. While the predominant focus of anti-bullying days like Pink Shirt Day want to focus on so-called homophobia, biphobia and transphobia, good schools and students and parents want the focus to be on all students who are bullied for whatever reason and who deserve support and protection. And actually that's what most schools are doing and will be doing. Now, just to reinforce this, here's the recommended book list for Pink Shirt Day, which includes some of these books. Life Isn't Binary, on being both beyond, and in between. My Shadow is Pink, a book about a young boy born with a pink shadow that loves princesses, dresses, and things not for boys. According to Amazon, the book empowers LGBTQ children and teaches children the concept of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Seeing Gender, an illustrated guide to identity and expression. The Savvy Ally, a guide for becoming a skilled LGBTQ+ advocate. And there's some new books that they've introduced this year. Raven Wild, the tale of a mystical gem and one woman's journey of self-determination and transition from the boy she once presented herself to be into the woman and hero that she would come to know herself as. And it says, presenting to us a world in which those within the wider spectrum of queer identity are able to merely exist in a space outside of the oppressive, cis, heteronormative, patriarchal structures that we often find ourselves confined to. Raven Wild is the story of Raven and a young woman's journey through self-discovery and the affirmation of her experience and existence, and an affirmation of the existence of gender diversity and of trans people. And another book that they have recommended this year, Raising LGBTQ Allies, a parent's guide to changing the messages from the playground. Tompkins walks parents through the many ways they can prevent new generations from adopting homophobic and transphobic beliefs and to explore their own biases. A lot of this book addresses the specific American landscape, in particular the way the church and state versus federal intricacies impact on how LGBTQ+ is introduced. So a whole lot of books, and there's also Maiden Voyage. We have a kick-ass princess who is not afraid to take charge, go on an adventure and fall in love with someone of the same gender. A book called Rick, an engaging novel about an 11-year-old asexual, not sexually attracted, but, you know, that means he must be LGBTQIA+. And The Inclusion Alphabet, ABCs for everyone. Now look, to be fair, there are some good anti-bullying books recommended which cover all forms of bullying, but it's very obvious where the emphasis or focus starts. Now, who are the sponsors? Well, it's the usual culprits: Mental Health Foundation, Inside Out, Human Rights Commission, all government funded. Cook Island Development Agency, never heard of them, but likely government funded, and Cotton On. Remember that when you go shopping next time. But the main sponsor is the Mental Health Foundation and Inside Out. And the Mental Health Foundation are doing a campaign to retain the radical RSE program in schools with the extreme sexuality and gender ideology. But the Mental Health Foundation isn't too keen on parental rights.
Yeah, I mean, I think parents are always part of this process, but we need to flip it around. This is actually children's and young people's rights. It's not the parents' right to decide whether a young person should be equipped for life. It is the young person's right to be equipped for life, and as a nation, that's what we should be doing.
Yep, apparently it's not the parents' right to decide whether a child should be equipped for life. It's our job. It's the state's. Parents are just part of the process. Primary age should be indoctrinated with extreme sexuality and gender fluidity, because the Mental Health Foundation says it's their job. It's the state's job, not you as parents. That's where they're coming from. This is the government-funded organisation alongside the Radical Inside Out group, which is part of Rainbow Youth. Oh, by the way, the open letter only has just over 4,000 signatures, which, given all the media coverage and support, is pretty pitiful. Maybe they should be aware of this, the recent poll that found only 15% think that primary age children should be taught that they can choose their gender and that it can be changed through hormone treatment and surgery if they want it to be. 69% say they shouldn't. Opposition to gender ideology has grown significantly from when we polled in 2019 on this. Now, the Mental Health Foundation is on another planet to parents in this particular area. And so what happens to all the funding? Well, once again, Pink Shirt Day will fund Inside Out to run rainbow inclusive workshops in schools around Aotearoa. That's gender fluidity and radical sexual ideology via the RSE program. In fact, the Pink Shirt Day kaupapa says more ways to keep the Pink Shirt Day kaupapa alive all year round. Check out Inside Out's resources for creating safe and inclusive schools environments for rainbow rangatahi. From bullying to bathrooms, their resources cover all aspects your school may need to think about. You know, they're very blatant about what they are pushing long term. They say thinking about keeping up the mahi, dealing with bullying in the future. Is it all bullying? No. Suggestions are start a rainbow diversity group, celebrate Schools Pride Week, bring an Inside Out to the school, review school policies around rainbow inclusivity, making schools safer for trans and gender diverse youth, and legal rights at school for rainbow young people. Yeah, it's pretty clear what the mahi is, and it's definitely not all bullying, sadly. Now, finally, let's just check some of the advertising that young people will be seeing. And this is from 2 years ago. Pink Shirt Day is supposed to be about all bullying, but the transgender Inside Out staffer promotes only one type of bullying.
My name's Peter. I work for an organisation called Inside Out. We're a national charity and we work towards making sure that our rangatahi, our young people in Aotearoa, have a sense of safety and belonging in our communities and in their schools. Pink Shirt Day originated because of rainbow-specific bullying, but also problematic gender stereotypes as well. In my experience with talking about bullying, specifically rainbow and homophobic bullying, it's still quite prevalent in today's schools.
Yeah, pretty focused on one type of bullying, isn't it? Pink Shirt also promotes International Day against homophobia, biphobia and transphobia. And Pink Shirt Day also promotes Schools Pride Week. They also promote drag queens. And in the greatest irony of our time, Chanel Lal, who says down there, stop bullying. Yes, this Chanel Lal at the Posey Parker rally is one of the promoted groups. And so what they're saying is that bullying is okay, especially if the victim is Posey Parker, who wants to talk about the definition of woman being adult, human, female. That kind of bullying is fine. If you still think Pink Shirt Day is about all bullying, I have a bridge to sell you. Now, please note, we're not telling you whether you should or should not observe Pink Shirt Day. It's your decision. We just think you should know what's driving this day and the agenda behind it. Many people simply haven't been aware. Let's help schools focus on all forms of bullying, on all victims. Supporting Pink Shirt Day, no matter how you do it or what narrative you may present in your school, it's still supporting a radical sexuality and gender ideology being pushed towards your children and grandchildren. Now, just finally, the Green Party are against bullying and are big supporters of Pink Shirt Day, which is kind of ironic, isn't it? You see, you can bully cis white males, and apparently you can bully Māori and Pacifica. You can even sort of exploit migrant workers, bully them. You can bully Jewish children. And of course, you can definitely bully cis white men.
And I know who causes violence in the world. It is white cis men. Yeah, that is white.
Yeah, so look, here's the point. Let's end all bullying, not just the ones that the Mental Health Foundation and Rainbow Youth and Inside Out are obsessed with. And supporting Pink Shirt Day is supporting the radical gender and sexuality ideology in the form of RSE that's coming into schools. Now you know.